If you're a real estate professional, you may have heard the photography terms HDR, light painting, and twilight shots. What do these terms mean, and why might you need this type of photography? If you've looked into these services, you also might be asking, why do these pictures cost so much? Stick with us and we'll try to answer those questions in this video. Let's start with why you'd want this type of photography for the property you're trying to sell. The truth is, if you're selling in a hot market, you probably wouldn't care. But if the market cools down and there are more houses for sale than there are buyers, you're going to have to compete for those buyers. You'll want the property you're selling to stand out. Twilight shots, HDR, and light painting can give you that wow factor you need to get potential buyers to not just look at your pictures online, but to get into their car and come out and take a look at your property. These techniques can bring out the true beauty of a property, but they can't make a, let's say, not so attractive property look good. In fact, these photography techniques actually make a not so attractive property look even worse. But if you have a beautiful property and you want to bring attention to it, then this is a perfect way to show it off and get the attention of those buyers. We'll take a closer look at some of these pictures and how they were made, and as we do, the why do they cost so much question will answer itself. For this demonstration, we used a combination of light painting and HDR. We'll start with light painting. Light painting is using an off-camera flash to highlight things in the room to create a more interesting picture. This has to be done using a sturdy tripod. As you'll see, we take several pictures which we'll blend together using specialty software. So each shot will have to line up exactly or we'll end up with a blurry mess. HDR stands for High Dynamic Range, and this is also done on a tripod. It's a series of pictures where the camera is set for different exposure levels for the shadows, mid-ranges, and highlights, and then those images are blended together using software. While this is a great technique for real estate, you have to be careful with it because you can easily overdo it. We'll cycle through the different types of pictures so you can see their differences and decide for yourself if pictures like these would help draw a buyer's attention to your property. The first 3 pictures were taken at the home of some friends of ours. For this demonstration, we purposely had them leave some of the out-of-place items in the room so we could demonstrate how these little flaws could be taken care of using software. Normally, we would ask our client to remove these objects before the session to save time in post-production, which will also save the client money. The first picture of the dining room is a typical shot taken from a point-and-shoot camera or cell phone, or even a slightly higher-end camera. The things to notice here are the laptop computer, which we're going to remove, and the plant in one corner and the chair in the other, which in this first shot are not highlighted at all. They're just kind of there in the background. As you can also see, the room is crooked in the photo. This is the kind of shot you see on home sale websites all the time. We'll do a little light painting to highlight the plant, chair, and the vase on the table. We'll remove the laptop and straighten up the room. Then we'll take an HDR shot. Note that removing the laptop means completely reconstructing that part of the picture in software to match the material that would be there if the laptop were removed. Here's the shot before, with light painting, and an HDR shot. Next, we move to the living room. This room didn't call for an HDR shot, but it did need some light painting to focus attention on various parts of the room, as you see Bill doing in these photos. Using software, he'll only bring forward the lighted areas, and of course, Bill will not appear in the final shot. We also removed the object on the floor under the television stand to give that area of the room a more streamlined look. Once again, that will mean reconstructing that part of the picture. Here is before and after. Before, after. Next, we tackle the kitchen. We decide to do both HDR and light painting here. The first shot is your typical point and shoot. then a little light painting, or in this case, an added off-camera remote flash, and HDR. The before shot, after light painting, and HDR. Now for the twilight shot. This process is usually all of the techniques we talked about blended together. It's typically taken right after sunset with all the lights inside and outside the house turned on. We're only going to show 8 shots here for time's sake, but we've used up to 30+ pictures to get this kind of result. We've also included a time exposure shot because occasionally you'll see this done on a real estate advertisement. This type of shot is better than a standard shot, but as you can see, it doesn't quite hit the mark. Here's the light painting process. And here is the result with light painting and HDR. Standard point-and-shoot image, time exposure, and twilight shot, which combines HDR and light painting. Here are a couple of more images from this shoot. All the photographs in this home were HDR shots. We did this because of the high contrast in the materials and colors. It was the only way to capture the true beauty of this home. This first shot is off the back veranda. Notice how the colors pop out when we go to the HDR shot. This next shot is one of our favorites to use to explain HDR. Notice the wood and the textures on the bedspread and carpet. See how the wood grain and the texture of the materials really pop out with HDR. This last picture is of the living room. Did you notice the stunning imported Brazilian rosewood floors and the elegant chandelier? No? Here, maybe this will help. We hope this video helps you to understand the differences in these styles of real estate photography and gives you a better idea of how they can be useful to you. Thanks for watching.